Dear students, we are going to start the second unit today. The second unit is explains about the introduction to semantics and knowledge representation. Some applications like machine learning translation, database interface semantics and its interpretation, word senses and ambiguity. So these topics we are going to discuss about today. The four topics are related to about the introduction to semantics and knowledge representation. It all about the semantics. Okay, it all is about the semantics. What is meant by semantics? Semantics is nothing but a study of the word of meaning. Semantics is nothing but study of a word. Okay, and some applications like machine translation. Some applications like see this we studying the topic, we are discussing the subject, that is natural language processing is based on the machine learning and artificial intelligence. So how this machine learning is going to take place in the study of the natural language processing is going to discuss in the second topic. Some applications how we are going to use in machine learning. And the third one is database interface semantic interpretation. How the databases are going to connect the all, see, when we are trying to search for a specific word, that word is coming from the database of different servers, is it not? So how the database are going to be connected and what are the things are there in the semantic of the database, how it is going to interpret the words, the sentences, and word senses and ambiguity. What are the different chances are there when we are going to find the a specific word? Okay, what is the chances, what is the senses, and what are the different alternatives? Okay, so these topics we are going to discuss now. Before going to start the first topic, that is techniques of knowledge representation. What are the different techniques of knowledge in representation? There are basically four types of representations, that are logical representation, semantic network representation, frame representation, and production rules. Okay, so the first one is the logical. When we are trying to search for a specific word, so the word will search for according to the logical representation. See here we can see the diagram. Knowledge representation techniques are four types, that is logical and semantic, production and frames. Okay, so the first one is logical representation, is about the language with some concrete rules which deals with prepositions and has no ambiguity in representation. Okay, so logical representation means drawing a conclusion based on various conditions. What are the various conditions here? When the whatever the information that files we are storing in the system is stored based on two things, that is logical memory and physical memory. Okay, logical memory and physical memory, the files will be stored in the system. So when you are trying to find out through NLP, so that whatever the information is stored in logically will be traced out. So this representation lays down some important communication rules. Okay, what are that? It consists of precisely defined syntax and semantics which supports the sound interface, is it not? So how it pronounced, it is based on that. Each sentence can be translated into logics using syntax and semantics. So again, logical is based on the syntax and semantics. What is syntax? Syntax is how we are going to trace the word through the systematic the system rules. Semantic is how it is going to pronounce, what is the meaning and how it is related to that. Okay, so that is syntaxes are the rules which decide how we can construct legal sentences in the logic. So it determines which symbol we can use in knowledge representation. How to write those symbols? Okay, that is syntax. How can we represent the symbols when we are trying to find out? Okay. Next, semantics. Yes. Okay. Semantics. Just now I told you semantics is the study of a word. Semantics are the rules by which we can interpret the sentence in the logic. Yes, and semantic also involves assigning a meaning to each sentence. See, it is systematically, semantically, the word is going to search. Okay, when we are trying to find out by using the NLP. Logical representation can be categorized into mainly two logics. Okay, logical representation can be categorized into two, that are propositional logics and predicate logics. Propositional logics is nothing but it is about how it is going to assess that one, and predicate it is about how we are going to find out the word sentence is based on the word by word is coming out, is it not? When we are trying to find out a sentence in the system, so what happens when we are typing something word by word, it relates to the repetition of the statement, and it is repetition of the searching a file. Based on that, the word sentence is going to show you, is it not? Advantages of logical representation. So logical representation enables us to do logical reasoning. Yes, the logical representation is based on to trace out. Logical representation is the basis for the programming languages. Yes, and disadvantages of logical representation is logical representations have some restrictions and are challenging to work with. Okay, and for everything there is a limitation, like that here also for logical representation also you have some, it is limited to its environment. It's limited to its environment, and logical representation technique may not be very natural. Okay, it is not be natural, and interface may not be so efficient. So it is not up to the mark. That logical representation is not up to the mark for what we are trying to get it. Okay. Semantic network representation. Semantic network representation is alternative of predicate logic for knowledge representation. It is the advancement, or in other words, in semantic networks we can represent our knowledge in the form of graphical networks. So in the form of graphical networks we can use the semantic network representation. So this network consists of nodes representing objects and arcs which describe the relationship between those objects. So what are the objects are here we are trying to find out, and the relationship between the objects that we are going to find in semantic. Semantic networks can categorize the object in different forms and can also link those objects, that are the representation consists of a relation, that is a relation and a kind of relation. A relation is nothing but it is the inheritance of the words. It is the inheritance of the words what we are trying to find out and how it is related to. A kind of a relation is some statements which we need to represent in the form of nodes and arcs. Some nodes and arcs. Okay. So the statements are, for example, we consider Jerry is a cat, or Jerry is a mammal, or Jerry is owned by Priya, Jerry is brown colored, all mammals are animal. So if you consider these words, Jerry is repeatedly is displaying here. Okay. So what is meaning of Jerry? Jerry is related to different statements. Okay, when we are trying to find out a word Jerry, automatically that related logical information also can be displayed. See, here also the image is going to display about that Jerry is a colored, or Jerry is a cat, Jerry is owned by Priya, or Jerry is a mammal, Jerry is an animal, is it not? So these are the different words or statements are related logically when you are trying to find out a specific word, is it not? So the above diagram we have represented the different type of knowledge in the form of nodes and arcs. Each object is connected with another object by some relation. Is it not? Here the objects, words are related or logically with its nature of the meaning. Okay. Drawbacks in semantic representation. So the drawbacks are semantic networks take more computational time at runtime. It will take more competition, more time it is taking to retrieve. And semantic networks try to model human-like memory. It is networks try to model human-like memory. That is, which has 1015 neurons and links. Okay, like how human is having to store the information, and but in practice it is not possible to build such a vast semantic net. How? But human mentality, technology or understanding is different than the system, is it not? System is based on how we are going to give the instructions, but our mindset is different. By seeing, by thinking, by observing, we can get many thoughts, is it not? So these types of representations are inadequate as they do not have any equivalent quantifier, is it not? And semantic networks do not have any standard definition for the link names. These networks are not intelligent and depend on the creator of the system. How we are giving the instructions to the system, based on the instruction system is going to work. That is the limitation of the semantics. What are the advantages of semantics? Semantic networks are a natural representation of knowledge. It is the natural representation of knowledge, and semantic networks convey meaning in a transparent manner. Yes, transparent manner the networks will convey, and these networks are simple and easily to understandable. It is easy to understandable. Okay, next one is frame representation. What is a frame? Frame is a collection of objects. Objects is not, it is about the names or the words. A frame is a record-like structure which consists of a collection of attributes and its values to describe an entity in the world. Okay, so frames are all artificial intelligence data structure which divides knowledge into substructures by representing stereotypes situations. What is stereotypes? It is related to the word framing. It is related to the word framing of the sentence. So it consists of a collection of slots and slot values. These slots may be of any type of sizes, and slots have names and values which are called facets. So slots are defined with the same related meaning way are defined divided into slots. Okay, that slots are also called as the facets. Facets which is going to appear is known as the facet. Some applications like machine translation. Okay, the second topic we are going to discuss in the second unit is some applications are for how machine learning translation is taking place in NLP. So machine translation is subfield of computational linguistics. It is a subfield of computational linguistics that is focused on translating text. It is using for the translating text from one language to another. Yes, when we are trying to find out the meaning of or any word in the searching process of any language, is it not? From one language to another language, we can easily to change the system. So when we are changing this from language to language, or when we are trying to find out this, the word from the different servers, machine learning is so much useful. With the power of deep learning, neural machine translation, that is neural machine translation has arisen as the most powerful algorithm to perform this task. Okay, so here it is using the neural machine translation. Neural machine translation is nothing but about it is how it translates from the language to language, or from searching from the server to server. Okay, while Google Translate is the leading industry example of NMT, and technical companies all over the globe are going for all the NMT, is it not? So far the Google Translator is there in the market, most people are using that, but before that the software companies are going to adopt the NMT, neural machine translation. So this state of the art algorithm is an application of deep learning in which massive data sets of translated sentences are used. Okay. So this technique, this algorithm is the center of the attraction, center of the all algorithms are using in the deep machine learning environment. Okay, so the vast amount of research in recent years, there are several variations of NMT currently being. One of the industry is using NMT according to their usage. So NMT is converting according to their convenient. According to their convenient, this neural machine translation is changing based on their environment. For example, if you consider, there are the applications are developing for hospital, there are the applications are developing for the defense, there are the applications are developing for banking, is it not? So neural machine translation is converting according to their nature of the termination, nature of the words, nature of the words, it is converting. Okay. Here we can see the brief expression of NMT is about ultimate goal of NMT model is to take a sentence in one language as input and return that sentence translated into different language. This algorithm, that is Google Translate or NMT, is transferring a word or a sentence from one language to other language. Here we can see that from English to it is converting from French. Okay, so this is the Google Translation or NMT. To do this in machine translation, each word is transferred into a one hot encoding vector which can then be inputted into the model. Yes, see, the system is converting from the language to language is not simply, but it is having the meaning of it, is it not? So that meaning is converting, and that meaning is having the, in the last class also we have seen, that is vector algebra or vectors or table is created, is it not? So one hot encoding vector which can then be input into the model. A one hot encoding vector is simply a vector with a 0 at every index except for 1 at a single index corresponding to that particular word. So what is zeros and ones here? Whatever the next level it is going to make or store instead of zeros and ones only, is it not? Total the system is based on the binary information system, is it not? So when it is going to represent in the one form to another form or in the sequence of the one form to another form, it is converting the information to zeros and ones and zeros and one or like that. So in this way each word has a distinct one hot encoding vector, and thus we can represent every word in our data set with a, based on that, so it is going, we are able to see from the language to language, is it not? These are the steps toward creating these vectors is to assign an index to each unique. Okay, so there are the vectors, there are the tables. Okay, and the one table is index vector. One index vector is going to based on the vector, and it is going to simplify to find out the searching process, input language, and then repeat this process for the output language. So this index vector is when it is before encoding and decoding, input vector, index vector is making simplify the process. Okay, and going to the system and coming out the system. Okay, and in assigning a unique index to each unique word, we will be creating what is referred to as a vocabulary for each language. How it is going to pronounce, how it is going to meaning, how it is going to relate, it is based on that. So however, given that any single language can have hundreds of thousands of words, yes, and the vocabulary is often trimmed to the n most common words in the data set we are working with. Yeah, see, when there are the number of words are repeating with a similar meaning, with a different meaning, is it not? For any language is based on that, and again it is divided into, and how it is pronounced, how it is going to communicate, how it is going to related for the purpose, where n is chosen arbitrary but often ranges from 1000 to 1 lakh or depending on the data set size. Yes, so when it is going to store the information about the language, Based on that, it is related to the English, and it is stored the number of words in the system based on the size of the system. Here also we can see a word is the different words are storing with a different memory size. To understand how we can then use a vocabulary to create one hot encoding vectors is like this. A, the red, or every word is having a different memory space, is it not? For example, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it is not exactly like this. How the words are going to store in the data set, in the database, by giving some space that is there. Okay. Here you can see the words are how it is going to store. For example, it is also not exactly 0100, it's not like that. Every word is stored in the form of the binary information, is it not? So whatever the blue whale ate the red fish, this is a sentence. But that sentence again is divided into words, and every word is again divided into converting into machine language, and that machine language may be 0111 or 0111 or 010 or 10, whatever that may be. This is a manner how the words are going to store in the system, is it not? And this is the architecture that we can see. The cat likes to eat pizza. There is a sentence is converting from encoder. It is converting a statement from one language to other language. Before that, it is encoding. What is encoding? Converting from machine language to the human understanding language to the machine language, and from machine language to the transmission, interpretation. Okay, interpretation, and from that interpretation to the decoder. Okay, so what is decoder? Again, it is the meaning of the original language, and it is going to display in the required language. So the above architecture, we can see the encoder and decoder, okay, in neural networks. So this is the particular tutorial, and we will be using long short term memory. Okay, and here we can see the long short term memory, that is which are a type of neural networks. Okay, and at the basis level, this recurrent neural networks are designed specifically to deal with temporal textual data. Okay, and neural language interfaces to databases. The third topic we are going to discuss about neural language interfaces to how the database is created in terms of the neural language database. Okay, so the definition of neural language interface to database is a natural language interface to a database is a system that allows the user to access information stored in a database by typing request expressed in some natural language. Okay, for example, any language, if we want to trace out the meaning of that, so it is connected and it is interfaced to the database. So database is having the information and meaning, and it is converting. So a natural language interface to a database is a system that allows the user to access information stored. Okay, is it not? The information is stored and it is going to access from the database by typing requests expressed in some natural language, on their own language, or in English language, or in subset of natural language. Okay, so early attempts, this is to see the history of the natural language is about the machine language, the databases. Earlier, in 60s, they were trying to find out how to create the database in natural language processing. So initially in the 60s, first attempts of language interfaces to databases appeared as early as the 60s. In 60s only they started, and an example of such a system is Lunar, link to author's page. That is about Lunar is that link to author's page. Author's page is who is going to use that, and designed to provide answers to naturally written questions about the geological analysis of lunar rocks written by the Apollo missions. Okay, written by the Apollo missions. So they were searching to find out the databases of natural languages in the early 1960s. Okay, so though they were trying to set it up, they were failing and failing and failing, and slowly there was the development of the database of this. And despite the interest and numerous attempts, NLDIDP did not gain the expected rapid and wide commercial acceptance. But in 1985, OVO Limited is invented was foreseeing that by 1987 a natural language interface should be standard option for users of DBMS. So, if, as you know, machine learning and artificial intelligence is recently is coming out, is it not? From 1987 and 19 is it is language interface, natural language interface should be standard option for the users of DBMS. So instead of most of the commercial products have been discontinued due to their poor performance and the difficulty for porting and configuring them. Yes, so it is the existence of the NLDB is coming out from the 60s onwards and 1987. So rebirth of artificial intelligence is in 2015. It is the vast changes have come across in 2015. So we are now seeing a rebirth of interest for natural language processing, that is about Albert in a somewhat different form. It is about Albert is created and it is a different form. On the one hand, probably due to the boom of mobile computing, chat and advances in speech processing, we are now seeing bots, that is ACA conventional agents, and becoming popular, taking advantage of connected services to carry out tasks. Nowadays there is a more demand for artificial intelligence and machine learning, as we know. On the other hand, ubiquity of search like interfaces made popular by internet search engines and call for the refinement of such search experiences. For the translation of the interfaces in the internet search engines, this refinement also is useful for this artificial intelligence and machine learning. Such applications have become very interactive with smart contextual suggestions, some degree of comprehension, and fast as you type updates which provide continuous guidance. Yes, now from here we can search anything from throughout the world for any language or anything. So here internally the things are happening for that machine learning, that is search engines are taking place and it is converting and from language to language to trace out the required information. Okay, so the legacy system, what is meant by legacy system? It is based on the experiences of the older one, is it not? Legacy system earlier we were using and the same we still can use with a specific little changes. By making the little changes we are going to use the earlier one and making the every now and then it is making the changes and we are using the system is known as the legacy system. It is inherited system and it is the history about English query first shipped with the MS SQL Server 6.5 version in 1996. Okay, and it was progressively improved throughout version 8. Earlier it was 6.5 initiated, but here now MS SQL is about version 8, then was later abandoned and reportedly due to lack of customer interest. So now we are getting the more and more rapid applications. So and it never supported other languages. So the features of NLMIT is English queries harness a natural language engine able to interpret sentences and process them into SQL queries that are sent to SQL Server for processing. So for instance, we can see the following query. See, we have the query is that select customer ID from customers. This is a query, but the meaning of that query is it is list the like this. See, list of all customers or all produce the same query, is it not? So give me a complete list of my customers please. That is also one sentence, a request, and list all customers is a one sentence, and and customers all produce the same query. Is it not? This is the query, but based on the query we can get the information related to that. So what are the different operators? See here, SQL operator, how many customers are there? How many customers have not rented movies this month? And which is the oldest store? What is the latest date that a person rented the movie? And these are the different queries can create in the database. Is it not? In SQL, that is about sum of or minimum or maximum or average. Okay, so these are the related queries that we can define based on the requirement. Is it not? What are the requirements are here? How many customers are there? How many customers have not rented? First one. Second one, which is the oldest store and which is the highest and lowest? Third one, what is the average of people are watching that? Is it not? So like that, the different queries that we can perform, we can define. So English query, that is SQL server relationship between the dialogue. That what are the challenges? NLIDP, that natural language interface database, are riddled with a number of fundamental challenges that explain the relative scarcity of successful products in this area. Okay, so linguistic versus conceptual failure. What is the linguistic? Linguistic is nothing but it is a combination of the languages. It is the list of the languages versus conceptual failure. When the NLIDB cannot understand the question, it often not clear to the user whether the rejected question is outside the system's linguistic core. Obviously, when the system is stored many information and data, okay, in the database, when a query is coming from the end user, if the system is not able to understand that query, that it may not give an output. Is it not? So that query may or may not be a proper English, or may not be a meaningful, or may not be a particular one. Is it not? Thus, users often try to rephrase questions and referring to concepts that system does not know. Is it not? So that we can change the question in such a way that to understand the system. Okay. Similarly, users can also give rephrasing questions that the system could actually handle from a database standpoint. Is it not? See, after all, we are tracing a content file from the system. So, if whatever the question that you are asking is not able to understand by the system, what is the use? So, we have to read from the sentence to able to understand the system. Users assume intelligence. Always see, so many times what we are thinking is when we are giving the related everything, but we are not getting. Is it not? We, according to our mindset, we may be right, but according to the system environment, it is not able to understand what is required. Is it not? So NLIDB, that is the natural language interface database, is users are often misled by the system's ability to process natural language, and they assume that the system is intelligent, that is has common sense, and or that it can reduce the facts. Here we can see the pattern matching system. For example, if you give the country name, it will give the capital. Is it not? For example, here we can see the country name capital. France is the capital of Paris. Is it not? So, and Italy is a country of Rome. Is the capital of Italy, like that. So these are the syntax based systems are helpful to trace out. Okay. So in syntax based systems, the user's questions is passed into a syntax tree. It is in the form of syntax tree. A grammar describes the possible syntactic structure of the user's questions. For instance, below the simplistic grammar in a lunar-like system. Here we can see the sentence is about noun phrase or verb phrase. Okay. The syntax tree is about the sentence is of noun phrase or verb phrase, and about noun phrase is determinant noun, or determinant is about what or which, or noun is about rock, the specimen, the magnesium, or what type of rock. And verb phrase is about what is a verb, what is a noun. Verb again contains the emits. This is about the syntax, and we can see the syntax tree here. We can see the syntax tree here. N, S is divided into noun, sentence is divided into noun phrase and verb phrase, and again noun phrase is divided into determinant and determinant noun, and again is divided into which or rock, and verb phrase is divided into verb and noun, that is contents. This is a sentence is dividing into the syntax tree, is it not? Abstract syntax tree for which rocks contains magnesium. Okay, that statement is divided into the syntax tree. Okay, so this is also again we can see that how it is going to give the information for such. For each x, where is rock x? If contains x, magnesium, or it is print. This mapping would be carried out by some rules. What are the rules? Which is for each x where, or rock is for is rock. Okay, noun phrase is for determiner noun. This is some sequence of the statements are helpful for the finding of the statement. Semantic grammar systems. Semantic grammar systems. In semantic grammar systems, the question answering is still done by passing the input and mapping the parse tree to a database query. Okay, so the only difference is that the grammar categories do not necessarily correspond to syntactic concepts. Here is a possible semantic grammar for the same domain. Here we can see the syntax tree is like this. Statement is divided into, earlier we have seen that the statement is divided into grammatical. Here it is dividing into a meaningful. Statement is divided into specimen questions, and specimen is again divided into specimen specific, and is divided into which rock, and specimen questions is again is divided into contains information, and contains information is divided into contents, hence substance and magnesium. Such tree it is. Okay, so here we can see the architecture of the NLIDP, Natural Language Interface Database Management. Okay, so here the architecture is explains about the natural language input, how the natural language, how the natural language architecture. Okay, so natural language architecture is divided into syntax rules, parser rules, and lexicon rules. Okay, so again parser rules are divided into parse tree. Just now we have seen the parse tree. Again it is going to divide based on the grammatical or the verb or noun or like that, adverb. Semantic rules are semantic interpreter and word model. Again it is going to logical query, that is database query generator, and it is mapping to different databases and database query and database management system, retrieved results, response generator and response. Natural language input to output, these are the internal things are happening, and this is the architecture of the portable NLIDP system. Okay, so this is also one more architecture, precise system architecture about how the database is created for the NLIDP. Okay, so here the database connected to the lexicon system, and it is a tokenizer, parser, matcher, query generator, equivalence checker. Okay, so when a end user trying to find out some information, internally it is the statement word is converting into these many issues, lexicon, tokenizer, parser, matcher. Okay, and again based on that that you will get the answer by SQL query and with answer. Okay, an example of the system neural language interface we can see here, how it is looking like that, results, and how it is going to appear. Okay, this is an example, the system. NLP word senses and ambiguity, how the word is going to pronounce and how it is going to give any confusion or any, it is a direct information. We understand that words have different meanings based on the context of its usage in the sentence. When we are spelling out, when we are trying out, when we are saying something is based on our experience, our practice, and it is also about how we are going to pronounce. So it is easy to understand that we people are end user our understanding level is different, then system level is different. But if we talk about human languages, then they are ambiguous too, because many words can be interpreted in multiple ways of depending upon the context of their occurrence. Yes, see, people from place to place or area to area, the pronunciation may be changed, or maybe a different words are may also used. Okay, so it is about the word senses. Word sense ambiguation in natural language processing may be defined as the ability to determine which meaning of word is activated by the use of the word in a particular context. Okay, so what is a particular context is nothing but when we are trying to find out, it is limited to its information, is connected, it's beyond the information. Getting my point? Okay, particular context is nothing but it is limited information is connected its boundaries. And lexical ambiguity and syntactic or semantic is one of the very first problem that any NLP system faces. Okay, so the part of speech triggers which high level of accuracy can solve words syntactic ambiguity. On the other hand, the problem of resolving semantic ambiguity is called word sense disambiguation. It is called as the word sense disambiguation, and resolving semantic ambiguity is harder than resolving syntactic ambiguity. Okay, for example, consider the two examples that are I can hear bass sound, and the second statement is he likes to eat grilled bass. Bass is the same word he is using in a different usages, is it not? The same word bass is using for different purposes. Okay, for different statements. I can hear bass sound. He likes to eat grilled bass. Okay, so the bass is depends upon the statement purpose, is it not? The occurrence of the word bass clearly denotes the distinct meaning. In first sentence it means frequency, and in a second it means fish, is it not? Bass is there about, it is about the frequency of the sound. Here in the second statement is about how it is grilled. Hence, if it would be disambiguated by WSD, then the correct meaning to the above sentences can be assigned as follows: I can hear bass frequency sound, or he likes to eat grilled bass fish. Okay, so the two statements also can be categorized or can be meaningfully can be categorized. So equalization of WSD. The equalization of WSD requires the following two inputs, that are a dictionary, text corpus, and lexical sample, and all words. Okay, the very first input for evaluation of WSD is dictionary. So based on every dictionary is more or less will give the same related answer, but a little for specific words, a little meaning changes will be there in the dictionary, which is used to specify the senses to be disambiguated. So test corpus, and another input required by WSD is the high annotated test corpus that has the target or correct senses. The test corpora can be two types, that is menus, that is lexical sample and all words. What is lexical sample? This kind of corpora is used in a system where it is required to disambiguate a small sample of words. Okay, and about the all words, this kind of corpora is used in the system where it is expected to disambiguate all the words in a piece of running text. Always system is taking place the information, the words from the database is about related repeated information. Related repeated information is stored in the cache memory, so that the access of the inputs, the access of the words are easy to about to display. Okay, approaches and methods to word sentence disambiguation, and there are the approaches and methods to WSD are classified according to the source of the knowledge, that are the dictionary based and supervised methods and semi supervised methods and unsupervised methods. As just I told you, it is about the dictionary based is a dictionary is more or less meaning may be changed word by word from place to place, the dictionary to dictionary. So supervised methods is about to before the display of the any word or any statement, there is the internal process is about the supervised, so that it will based on the structure of the statement or based on the environment, it is going to display the word. Semi supervised is more or less it is correctness of the method that is going to display. And unsupervised methods, sometimes what happens when you are trying to find out, you may or may not getting the exact word by using the unsupervised methods. Okay, so here it is dictionary based or knowledge based, just now I told you. Supervised method, just now I told you, in this method the words, knowledge and reasoning are deemed unnecessarily. Okay, so these methods rely in substantial amount of manual essence tagged. Semi-supervised, due to the lack of training corpus, most of the word sense disambiguous algorithms use semi-supervised learning. Okay, unsupervised, these methods assume that similar senses occur in similar context. Okay, so application of word sense disambiguous. What are the different applications are? That is, word sense disambiguation is applied in almost every application in language technology, and that are machine learning, machine translation, information retrieval, text mining and information extraction, and lexicography. What is machine translation? Machine translation from the language to language, from place to place. Information retrieval system, we have a specific separate subject, that is information retrieval system, where the information is retrieved based on the requirement and what are the internal things are happening when you are retrieving. And text mining and information, we have the subject that is data mining and data is storing, and how the data mining information extraction is also using the applications of word sense disambiguation. And lexicography also is using word sense disambiguation. Okay, it is machine learning, that is information retrieval, and text mining and information extraction, and lexicography. Okay, work together in loop because modern lexicography is corpused. Okay, difficulties in word sense ambiguities are differences between dictionaries, different algorithms for different applications, interjudge variance, and word sense decreaseness. Okay, so what are the difficulties are there in word sense ambiguous, disambiguous? It is about following are some difficulties, that are the differences between dictionaries. I told you based on the dictionary a little some changes, the some information may be changed, or based on the algorithm, based on the specific query, the information retrieval may be changed. Interjudge variance, where it is based on the domain, it is based on the interjudge variances, it is based on the domain, where based on the domain the information will be retrieved. Word sense discreteness is also a difficulty of the word sense ambiguous. Okay, so today we discussed about the 4 topics that are in second unit. You just go through this. If you are difficult to find to understand anyone, you can mail me so that we can discuss and we can go further. Thank you.